This is Sunniva.
And this is Johannes.
And you are watching Board Gaming Ramblings.
And welcome back to the next segment in the top 100 board games of all time. According to us, this is not like an objective list, this is the subjective list. This is only our opinions. If you didn't understand that already, we are now all the way up to 40 to 31. We are going up in the top 50, getting closer to the top. If you haven't seen the other list yet, you can go and check them because they are out there on YouTube World, and you can check the other games because there's so many good games. We hope you had enjoyed the series so far, and we're gonna jump right into more games today. Are you ready?
Yeah, I am.
Are you 100% ready?
Yes,
Then you can.
40% ready.
Oh, because you're at number 40, so you're only gonna be 1% ready at the last game. I'm so ready to show you this game. Now we begin.
My number 40 is The Great Wall. It has fallen a little bit since last time. It was my number 26. But this is a game that I really adore. It is a worker placement game, but it is also so much more rhyme. You have the opportunity to get these really cool abilities, which I think is super cool. And I said that already. And in addition to doing this Euro stuff, you're also trying to defend your wall.
Yes,
from,
the great one.
From the raiders.
And building it.
Yes, building it as well, but also defending it. And that also mixes in a little non-Euro stuff. But I think it's a super cool mesh between many mechanisms. We have a lot of things for this game that we haven't tried out yet. It's right there. I want to play it again.
My number 40 is going to be a new addition to the list, and it's going to be Weather Machine. This is a game from Vital Lacerda, and we like Vital Lacerda's games. Most of his games makes me happy and my brain sing, and this one is no exception. Weather Machine is a game where the weather has gone awry, and you're trying to make it better by sending these little people, robots, out to these different machine parts, but it's just a very interesting and harsh worker placement, or interaction mechanism, where if I go and try to do something but I don't get a whole thing and you don't do anything, all of that work was for nothing. And it's kind of like, so it's not cooperative, but it's kind of like, okay, I'm seeing that you're doing that, is it worth it for me to go in there? Probably it's gonna be, but sometimes I have so much other stuff to do that I need to get going, and I'm not doing that, which is also then bad for you, so it's good for me, but only if it's actually good for me, because we don't like being mean for meanness sake in games. And Weather Machine is a superb game that I really like, obviously, because it is in my top 100.
Yes, it should be really good when it's in our top 100. This is another great game since it's in my top 100. My number 39 has fallen a bit risen a bit actually, from number 50 last time, and it is A Feast for Odin. And I know you're going to say, this is too low, but hey, I've upped it 11 spaces, you should be happy now.
Yay.
Well, I do really like A Feast for Odin. This is a heavy UV Rosenberg game with a lot of action spaces, like 64 or something.
Around that, yeah.
Many. And also many negative points to be had if you're not building your little Tetris grid on top of it, filling it up with resources of all kinds. Many different roads to go in this game. I really like it. I reckon it's higher on your list.
It might be that. You will see.
Aha!
My number 39 was my number 25 last time. It is Heaven and Ale. Heaven and Ale is a tight game with a one-way street, and you never have what you want. You never have enough money. You never have enough resources. You are moving along this one-way street, getting resources, getting tiles that you can place on your board, and you can then choose to either place them like on the one side of your board is going to give you like money income, or the other side of the board is going to give you victory points, and at the same time you're trying to move your brewmaster up so you can brew this beer at the end of the game, and there's just like so much stuff you want to do, and you're going through this 3 times trying to be the best at brewing and getting the points, and it's hard, but it's so much fun. I love it. The expansion also adds even more fun. Heaven and Ale.
Heaven and Ale is one of the games that it doesn't make sense because I've played heavier games than Heaven and Ale, but this game makes my mind go like, nope, no, I'm not doing that. I'm happy when I play it, but also at the same time I feel like I don't master it at all, and it's so tiring for my brain to be a part of.
You're not a brewmaster.
No, I'm not. My number 38 has kept its exact position from last time, and it's the Van. You've already had this game on your list, and as you said, and I totally agree, this is our favorite part of the GIPP series.
Yes.
A series of two-player abstract games that really opened our eyes to two-player abstract games as a concept. And I don't know if it's just because it was the first one, but it has kept our like favorite stamp on it from the beginning, and it's still a super solid game that I'd love to play more.
Yeah, and for me, like, this was kind of a catch-all for all the GIPP series because I really enjoy all of them. My number 38 is a new addition to the list, and it is a game from last year called Evacuation. Evacuation is a Vladimir Suchý game, and this is a superb game that was so tight, so hard to manage. You are trying to move things from this one planet that is dying to another planet, and you have to manage the resources on two planets, have to manage how you have like a progress bar moving upward, because when that moves to a specific point, you have to already been able to move the resources you need, energy especially, from one side to the other so you can actually continue doing actions. And there's so much to do. You're trying to place to settle back on the greatest spaces that gives you the best bonuses so you get the most victory points, because victory points is life. And Evacuation is a fantastic game. Another fantastic game from Vladimir Suchý.
So tight, but so unique and so fun. My number 37 is Time Stories.
Wow.
And it has fallen from 22nd place last time.
Makes sense.
And it's slowly maybe falling because this is a like one-time story experience.
Yes, but then again, 10 times. And
that's true, but we're not playing the 10 times again.
That is true.
But the memories that we've had, like the moments, it was so unique when we played it, but it's still unique, that experience, till this day, and it has given us these goosebumps and shivers, and not every of the scenario has been amazing, but the overall story and the overall concept, I really think it's cool because you're going to like a place in time, and it might be fictional, but it also might be real. And you're trying to explore what has happened here and find out what you're going to solve, and then your time is up and you have to start again, and then you want to then explore new pathways that you didn't have time for the first time, or expand, do the thing that you did just better, for example. So unique, so fantastic, and I want to play the new sets.
Yeah, we have actually
of the new
two
things.
boxes of that we haven't played. My number 37 was my number 32 last time, so pretty similar spot. It is going to be Cooper Island. This is a heavy worker placement game, and it has so many cool elements, and you're working so hard to get 1 point. It's one of those where you're just like, yay, I got another point, it feels amazing, and it's not like, oh, I got 600 points this game. It's like I got 15 if you're working really hard. And the cool thing is, like, you have these different kind of workers that are advanced or normal workers. You also have this really cool mechanism of your building this tableau of higher pieces. You build pieces on top of each other. And if you have a resource on the 4th level, that's going to be 4 resources. So you have this really cool mechanism of building that 3D thing, but also trying to move these ships and getting the points, which is very hard. It is one that we haven't played in quite a while, and one that I am really excited to play again. Superb game. Cooper Island. I said it again because you probably forgot it from 25 seconds ago.
My number 36, it has almost kept this position. It has just like tweaked a few spaces. It is the Crew Mission Deep Sea. And this is a co-op trick-taking game that works surprisingly well, because you have like you're trying to win tricks, but you're trying to achieve different things every round. And what I really love about this game is that we can play a few cards and win. A few tricks have been won, and I'm thinking, oh, now this is impossible. It's no way we can do it now, and I almost give up. And then somebody does something, and we make it either way. So this is a game about not giving up, because it can still happen in some other way.
Yes.
That just don't see it, because you just see your own cards.
My number 36 was my number 23 last time, and it's going to be Tekkenu. This was one of my favorite games to be played the year that we played it. It was also one of the games that we played for the first time on cameras. If you want to see us playing it for the first time, we did that for a few games then. Like, we got it, we set it up, and we actually played it for a playthrough the first time we played it as like a first play and first impressions. If that is a concept you want to see more of, let us know in the comments. It might have more rules mistakes, but we try to do our best. But Tekkenu is just super cool. You are drafting dice, and you are having to try to balance the dice that you're drafting. And there is this obelisk that is moving around. So some actions are going to be in the shadow, some which are forbidden actions, and most of the time you can't do them if you don't have like a specific special ability that lets you do those. And then it's basically a lot of mini games again, that you have this core mechanism of the dice that you're taking, and then you have these different mini games that you're trying to be the best at some of them and try to do a little bit here, a little bit there. We also have an expansion we haven't played before. This is feel like the theme of this series. We also have an expansion, but that's actually one that I would really like to play, and I cannot wait to play that, because we are doing the T-Series ranking, because you're asking for it for a year, and we're going to get it to you after
Soon,
we're done
finally.
with this top 100 list.
Hopefully.
So Tekkenu, fantastic game.
My number 35 is a new addition to the list, and that is Carnegie. And
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Carnegie is such I want to call it a tough game.
Yes.
Because it is a lot of interaction, and you have to be prepared for having rounds that are feeling really suboptimal, but when you utilize what the other players are doing, it feels really rewarding, because in this game you alternate choosing the main action and the other players will follow.
Yeah.
And you don't have that many actions throughout the game, so missing out on one of those follow actions feels really crucial. You have some like ways you can do another action instead of the main action, but you want to save that for
when you
actually really need it. And because this is a game where you are like having employees, you're putting them out on different action to like be able to do them, and that also dictates how good the actions are going to be. And you have very specific order that these things need to be done in. So if, for example, you have chosen one action and I'm just like, yes, I'm doing that. Now I'm moving my dudes around, and when it's another player's turn, suddenly my board looks differently and I can't do a thing. So super cool. It reminds me a little of Tiny Towns in that regards, that you have to be prepared for what the other players are going to do.
A very heavy, complex, and harsh Tiny Towns.
Yeah.
My number 35 is a new addition to the list. It is a Stefan Feld game called Marrakesh. Marrakesh is again a point salad mini game in its core, and it is so much fun. I really, really enjoy it. The only thing that is a downside is that we have the first edition of the tower, and I heard that the tower has gotten better at actually holding cubes. So I feel like if there was a possibility to get the other tower, I would do that, because it is a very, very fun game. You have so many different paths to take with these different colored actions. You're upgrading the actions so that your actions are going to get better. And it is in its core a point salad mini game like Trajan, but just like with another mechanism in the middle. One of my favorite Stefan Feld game. Really like it.
I agree. My number 34 is Awkward Guests. It has been higher on my list. It was my number 17 last time, but this is like a forever keep for me. This is one of my favorite deduction games. It's one of my favorite games ever because I love deduction games. Awkward Guests, you are trying to solve a murder, and you set up like a case that nobody knows how
Nobody knows the solution
Nobody
before you
knows.
start
Yes,
because that
thank
would be
you.
boring.
That would be really boring. And then you trade information that says, for example, this person was in that room, or this person didn't move through this room, or it wasn't this murder weapon that was used, and you're trying to like pinpoint who's done it, what motive, which way they went, and you're trying also to withhold the most important information from your enemies.
Enemies, the other detectives,
the other players.
that are not supposed to crack the case because
Yes.
you want that glory. My number 34 was kind of my number 60 last time. It is Ultimate Railroad, so Russian Railroads was my number 60. It is like, Russian Railroads is one that we have played many times. It's a worker placement game, but kind of got solved. Like, I love everything about it, but it's kind of getting to the point where there's one strategy you can do and you will win. If not everybody works toward that strategy or try to stop you, it feels like. So German Railroads, which is part of Ultimate Railroads, really fixes that. You also have the American Railroads with the shares and stuff like that, and the Asian Railroads I don't think we have played yet. But Ultimate Railroads is a super good game. One of the, feels like a classic worker placement game now. It has that super cool thing where everything is snowballing. So in the first round you might get like, oh, I got 4 points, and in the last you might get 120. So you get this really cool snowballing effect, feels amazing, and everything you do is super cool. Love it to bits.
My number 33 is a draw and write game. No,
Yes.
Flip and write game. It's Welcome to the Moon. It was my 21st game
21.
last time. I really love Welcome to the Moon. I love Welcome to also,
Yes.
but in Welcome to the Moon you have a lot of these different scenarios. I don't
Yes.
know. That's what you call it. Scenarios?
Yeah, or different maps.
Maps. Yes. Sheets that you can draw on, but the concept is the same. You're drawing these different combinations of things you can draw, and then you think, what is the most important for me right now? And you have to decide. And it has different things that you want to solve and accomplish every time, and we still haven't played them all.
No.
I want to do that.
And
It's fun.
I think the most important for you is that it's a sci-fi theme. That's what like elevates it. Because
Yes, of course.
You don't like
because
the boring.
The moon is my favorite thing in the world.
The moon
It is.
theme.
I'm quite fan of the moon.
Yeah, I'm happy that it's
Yes.
a thing. Like I would be sad if the
Absolutely.
moon disappeared.
Yep.
We would have problems.
We would have problems.
My number 33 was my number 37 last time. It's going to be Crysis. Crysis is a classic game. It's the one we played many years after it came out. It is a worker placement game where you are trying to stop this city from a crisis from going under, basically, and you have to be the best. Everybody, you have to like get enough points every round to keep up with the crisis so that the game doesn't just stop and everybody loses. You're trying to do many different things. One of the main things I like is getting the factories working, trying to make factories that when I run this factory, I don't have enough energy and resources to run the next factory, which gives me better things. So making these automations of factories in a really cool way. Everything else is also really cool about the game, but getting the workers, and it's very interactive, it's very tight, having to get their specific worker placement spots. Really highly enjoyable. One of the ones that is not a newer one, but is highly recommended from my point.
I agree.
Do you remember the name? Crysis.
The Crysis. My number 32 is a crossover for this this 10
This
10
video,
games,
yes.
and that is Marrakesh. I also love this Stefan Feld game. What I think is cool is
That it's by Stefan Feld.
because you're getting all these cylinders that represents like the actions you can do and the different parts of the game, all the different mini games like in Trajan style.
Yeah.
But when you're starting a round, everybody's secretly choosing three colors or something.
Yes.
2 or 3 colors, and then you put them through the cube tower, and then you draft. So when it's not my turn to be like the first to pick, I will probably take something that's not that important to me, that I'm not like focusing on. And then when I'm the first player, I will most likely like grab the things that I want to do the most. And the more you do an action, the better it gets.
Yeah.
So it feels like a little like Bora Bora, that you want to do something like completely and all the way, and sometimes just like a little here and there.
Yeah. I always spoke about it. I just think it's a fantastic game. My number 32 It was my number 29, so very much in the same place. It is another Stefan Feld game
Cool.
called In the Year of the Dragon.
Nice.
In the Year of the Dragon is one of the oldest Stefan Feld games. It is one that I like the most with 4 or 5 people. It is also maybe the most punishing Stefan Feld game that has ever been made. It is one where you're trying to not be horrible. Like everything you do is basically trying to not get a horrible thing to happen to you. Because at the end of every round, there's going to be a crisis. There's going to be an event that is like...
A crisis?
Yes, you have to play the game Crisis at the end of every round, so it's a very long game. But there's an event that most of the time is negative, which is gonna... You need these rice, or you need the fireworks, or you need these different things. And you never have enough actions, and there's only one person who can do the action every round. So you're trying to do the best with the worst, basically, at all times, and trying to squeeze out the most points. And you are doing it like in about an hour or so. Pretty quick flowing game. Another one, everything is highly recommended from here on out.
Yeah.
Everything, I don't need to say it, but it's highly recommended.
This feels like a very different Stefan Feld games because you associate Feld, especially we did before,
Yes.
with point salads. This is far from it. This is brutal and harsh, but really fun.
I agree.
My number 31 is a 2-player game.
Oh.
It's Air, Land, and Sea Creatures at War.
Wow.
And it has risen a little bit. It was my number 39 last time. One of my favorite 2-player games, like
Yeah.
overall. This is a game that surprised me when we got it because
It's a war game.
it is a war game. And I didn't think I would like it. And it's also very direct. Like, you're doing... It's not take that because the
It's the game.
whole thing is that you want to win over the other player. But what I think is really cool is that if I see that this time my cards aren't good enough to beat you, I can like back out of the fight early on so that it costs me
I get fewer points.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that is also a big part of this game, bluffing. So that if you think that you have a really good hand, you want to trick your opponent into staying in the game, thinking that they have a chance for as long as possible, so you get out of there with a lot of points.
It's interesting because this is a game that everything about it, all the checks basically, is like things you don't like.
Yes.
It's a 2-player duel game,
Yeah.
which you don't usually
No, I
like.
don't
It's
like
a
those.
war theme.
Yeah.
And it has bluffing. Like,
Yeah.
these are things you don't usually like. So
Yeah.
it's so fun to see
But
this
it's
so
so
high on list.
fun.
It is.
I love it.
It's a fantastic
Yes.
one. And next up for me was my number 51. It's now 31. And it's another Stefan Feld game.
Haha.
So this was a Stefan Feld top 10. This is Bonfire. A Bonfire we just recently played, and it is so much fun. You are moving around on this board. You're doing first of all, you're doing this really cool action selection thing where you try to do a puzzle to get the most of the actions that you want to do. So again, it's kind of the same. The actions you're doing the most
Yeah.
will be better
You'll be
because
better
you
at
will
'em.
be easier to get even more tiles of that action.
Yes.
So you're trying to get these action tiles, then you're paying the action tiles to do different actions. You're moving around with the boat, getting quests, trying to solve those quests, trying to get guardians that can move on the pots, trying to get portals so the guardians can go in when the bonfires has been lit, trying to get special abilities. It is a point salad game, but it's one of those where you get all of the points at the end of the game. So it's not like, oh, you get 2 points, 2 points, 2 points. Many of the things will get you points, but it's less of a point salad game than many of the other of his titles.
Yes.
And that's another top 10 done. We are now going into like the higher end of this top 100. We hope you are as excited as us. Please let us know what you think about the choices for this video down in the comments. Give us a thumb if you want to. And also if you have gotten anything out of this video, if you enjoyed it in any way and you haven't done so yet, you can help us out in a big way by giving us a victory point.
And we get victory points when you click that subscribe button. You can also click the bell to get notifications every time we post a new video.
And this is going to be the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Johannes.
I'm Cinema.
And you've been watching Board Gaming Ramblings, and bye bye.